Hello, fellow readers. I'm back again with another video. This one the um is about the comic book series Sonic the Hedgehog, specifically by IDW, and it's going to be the first arc of the comic book series, which is 3 books in total. Well, volumes. There's they're just like collections of a bunch of the separate comics. And anyway, as always, this is going to be my opinion on this specific arc of the series and what I thought about characters, events, and all of that. To start off, I'm a huge Sonic fan. I'm like a really big Sonic fan. My favorite character is Silver. I even have like a bunch of little figurines and stuff of him. One of them is like from Five Below, and it's this like really knockoff like Sonic Racer toy. So that Silver looks really weird, but it's actually my favorite because it just looks so bad. So of course I had to pick up this series. Well, I've had this series for a while too. I have actually all the way to volume 6, but that's a separate, like, after the third volume, it's a separate arc. It goes in, because this arc is called the Neo Metal Sonic arc, and then there's like the Metal Virus arc and all that. Like, there's different arcs. I'm I'm just like talking about the Neo Metal Sonic, like Metal Sonic's arc and his revenge and all that. So I'm here with my physical copies of the book, my notes, and a water, because. Oh. So, to start off with, I was. I think it was. Okay. Wait, where do I start? Well, I'll start off with the first volume, the Fallout volume, which is the first one in the series, and also the series continues off of a video game, a specific Sonic video game called Sonic Forces, which funny enough I actually have played it all the way through, so I kind of know what happened before this. And it's kind of, from what I know, not a lot of people like the Sonic Forces game, but playing through it I actually really enjoyed it, funny enough. It reminded me of Super Mario Sunshine, mainly because it kind of had the slippery physics that Super Mario Sunshine had. So whenever I died, I just like in Sonic Forces, I was just like, this is reminding me of Mario Sunshine all over again. Anyway, so into the volume we go. There, it's basically Sonic returning, and everyone kind of basically dealing with the overall like remnants of the Eggman forces from Sonic Forces. And so we're going through and basically one by one meeting old and new characters in the first volume. Like we get to see Tails, um, Amy, Knuckles, and then we get introduced to some new characters. Like the returning skunk duo. I forgot their names. I know one of them's Tumble. Yeah, they're called Rough and Tumble, and they always match. Like they always rhyme their names with something, and it's really funny whenever they appear because they do that. Then we also get introduced to Tangle, who I love her character, and I'm so happy that she became a main character of the IDW comics. There's also we also I forgot to mention Blaze also shows up, and of course Silver, but that he only appeared like he starts appearing in the second volume. So the first volume, they're going through and basically clearing up all of the bad guys that are left over, all the machines that are left over, and wondering why they're still so organized because Eggman has gone missing as far as they know. They don't know that he's like still alive. They think he's dead. So they're kind of confused on why the robots are so organized and trying to figure out who's actually commanding the robots. Which is where the second book comes in, The Fate of Dr. Eggman. This one is probably my favorite of this arc specifically, my favorite volume, because we get to see Silver, of course, uh, my favorite character. Of course, I was excited to see him, and he's also kind of just like nerding out over this new character called Whisper, who uses Wisp. Um, and she also whispers, like her name suggests, and she's like this wolf that definitely has a lot of trauma. We also get to see what happened to Eggman in this book, which is he gets amnesia, which is really funny because I don't know if this is the first time he's ever gotten amnesia. I don't know. I've never read the other comic series that have been produced. I think they're called the like the Archie Sonic series, and then also another one, the Fleet Away, I think they're called. I've never read well, I've read a bit of the Archie comics, but I didn't like them all that much because it got weird and I don't know. No, thank you. So I kind of dropped the Archie comics, and I'm still sticking with IDW though. So yeah. Um, Eggman loses his memories, right? And he starts identifying as this guy named Mr. Tinker. And I think that is such. Uh, it's such a sweet thing because you realize quickly that if Eggman was a good guy, he would have been this Mr. Tinker character, and he would have been such a good influence on everyone around. But then you also remember that he's a bad guy, and in knowing comic book series and stuff, this is probably temporary. We're probably not going to see Eggman like this for very long. I was proven right, by the way, when I do an overview of Battle of Angel Island. I was right. So we also get to meet more characters. The Chaotix, which is SBO. Um, Charmy the Bee. I remember because I find Charmy funny. He's just this little gremlin child. And Vector, this crocodile. I can't exactly remember what SBO is supposed to be. I think he's like, is he a chameleon? I think he is. Yeah. So we also get to see for the first appearances and stuff. Shadow and Rouge. Yes, flipping through because there's a lot of characters you have to keep track of for this one. We also get to see Metal Sonic or Neo Metal Sonic because he's not in his normal form. He's in a upgraded form of that can actually talk because in his normal form he can't talk. And that the like it's revealed that he's the one that's leading all the robots until Eggman returns, and it's kind of funny because he's disguised as Eggman, and Sonic kind of goes, "Wait, time out, time out. You're not. I know Eggman. you're not Eggman. And Metal Sonic's like, dang, okay, you got me. Just as, like, I'm gonna beat you up now. Sonic's like, that's much better. I can deal with that. He's like, just stop faking. Faker. And Metal's like, no, you're the faker. I'm not the faker. And then after that, and after they butt heads, Sonic, like everyone's trying to figure out what Metal Sonic's plan is because he clearly has a plan other than waiting for Eggman to return. It turns out that he's also trying to conquer the world for Eggman, so when Eggman gets back, he can just have the world conquered. Metal, he doesn't appreciate that kind of stuff, that's all I know. Oh yeah, and also Shadow and Sonic have a mini fight over Mr. Tinker because Mr. Tinker doesn't remember like anything because the amnesia and all that, and Shadow is, doesn't want to give Eggman a second chance because he believes that it doesn't exactly erase what Eggman has done, and that just like not remembering doesn't mean he gets to get away with everything he's done and still wants to like kill the dude. Of course they stop, Sonic stops him and they're like, nah, we're gonna keep him alive still, like second chances and all that. Water break. Okay. And then the last one of the Metal Sonic arc is Volume 3, which is Battle for Angel Island. And this one is, they found out what he was doing, and he's going to take over Angel Island, basically. Because the Master Emerald is there, which is really important. Because it also gives them their superpowers and all that, so take over Angel Island. Of course, Knuckles isn't too happy about that. Doesn't even really, I don't think, does he know? I can't remember. Oh no, he does know. And they all team up and get into this like giant warship basically and go up there to stop him and divide into teams. And the main team that's going to fight Metal Sonic is, of course, Sonic, Shadow, and Knuckles, because Knuckles is like, I know, he's attacking my island. I deserve to get a fight. He'll like get to fight the dude. And then the others are kind of dealing with everything else, like the other enemies and squads and stuff that Neo brought with him. We also get to see Burning Blaze, which is her version of Supersonic. I really like it. I also like that she gets really pink, pretty, with her gems. She's a powerhouse. I wish we got to see more of her, but she kind of is a ruler of another world, which I didn't know about Blaze till reading IDW. Because I didn't really know. All I knew about Blaze was that she was with Silver during the '06 game, which I don't know much about the 2006 Sonic the Hedgehog game, so I did that also. Yeah, I only know like overviews of that game. So I don't know much about her, so I learned a lot. Also during this, when they're fighting, Mr. Tinker gets kidnapped, which means something happened to him, and it actually turns out that there's this guy named Dr. Starline who comes over, kidnaps Mr. Tinker, and tortures him to make him remember. It doesn't really work until Metal Sonic comes over because so they defeat Metal Sonic after he's forced into a different form. I forgot exactly what that form is called. It's this giant dragon like form because he goes super Neo Metal Sonic. And then Shadow beats him up. And that forces him out of the super state and into this new state called I, I it's not I can't remember. Here, let me flip through it. Oh, his Master Overlord form. Just looks like a bunch of knives were stuck on him and they put a dragon head on him and said that's a great design and I love that. But they defeat him, and then they go and Sonic and Tails, like mainly Tails, repairs him and all that, and they repair him, and then he runs. Metal Sonic runs away to go find Eggman. He does, which is with Mister Doctor Starline, and Doctor Starline is like, oh, it's his metal one. Eggman fixes it up, he remembers everything, and Eggman's back. He then shows the beginnings of his plans for a virus, which is gonna be for the Metal Virus arc, and that's where that arc ends. So, what did I think of all of them? Personally, I love them all, but definitely I really like the Fate of Dr. Eggman because I thought it gave me the most thinking room, honestly, because it really did question, like, does this guy really deserve a second chance or not? And Mr. Tinker doesn't know that he was Eggman, so, like, how fair is it? It's more, it definitely questions more than anything else, and I think I like that. Um, Also, Silver appears. Have I mentioned I like Silver? um, if you like a lot of battling, is definitely like boss battle is definitely a battle for Angel Island. So it's just a giant boss battle with plot going like more like future events that will unfold in future volumes happening in this one, and I like it means that there will be a continuation basically for that one. I do like seeing all the characters fight, and Neo Metal Sonic was definitely aura farming, I would have to say, for that one. And then, of course, the first one, it's just more of a getting started on the adventure we're gonna go through, because a lot of games and stuff, it's getting you into the rhythm of the writing and introducing you to the characters in this style, and then what they're like what setting the foundation. So there's not much to say about it other than that. I mean, they definitely introduced some of my favorite lackey villains because Rough and Tumbler's so funny throughout the volumes when they do appear again. Their first thing, the like, heist thing, is them trying to get the Wisp to listen to them and fight again. Like it's funny because it doesn't work, and the Whisper like I don't know, dude. I don't. We don't like you, and Rough and Tumble just being confused because they just want to use the Wispins, which is like their weapons powered by the Wisp, and you need them to make the weapons work. You also get introduced to it through Whisper, because Whisper has a Wispin, and probably like her fighting style is a Wispin basically, and each Wisp have different power depending on their design and stuff. So it's, you don't exactly know what you're gonna get. Waterbreak. Overall, I I think the characterization. I mean, I wouldn't know because I haven't read and seen and consumed every piece of media of Sonic, so I wouldn't know their takes on characters. I mean, I don't like the Archie interpretation of the characters, but I think IDW does a good job. I mean, I would like to see Silver locking in a little bit more, but maybe we'll see that in future, like future volumes and stuff. So maybe that's just me thinking that they kind of rushed into making him, because he is a sweet character. I just think the issue comes from the fact that it, he's already babied enough by every character, like everyone. I would prefer to see him locking in a bit and showing off his more rougher side of his characterization instead of being just little guy kind of energy. But maybe I'll see more in the future for the IDW, like in the IDW comics. I hope so, because I really like so. I've said it so often. I can't help it. Favorite character. He doesn't get a lot of attention. Well, not as much as others. I mean, I would love to see some more attention on Tails because he gets pushed around quite a bit. And it would be cool to have something centered around Tails doing something, because even in the comics so far, he's always kind of just known as the sidekick, and I would like to have a little thing for Tails other than sidekick and smart personality. Oh yeah, there was also a favorite line where Sonic is running around and he goes under in the sewers and he's like, now he like says something along the lines of now on a hedgehog, and it's really funny because it's the acknowledgement that it happens, that he burrow, like, because he refers to it as burrowing animal, and it's used throughout some of the earlier volumes as a joke, but a plot point that he does it pretty often, where he goes underneath something or is able to dig his way out of trouble. So that's, I think that's a neat thing. On top of that, the brother energy, again, top notch. I love when Sonic and Tails have their brother energy moments, especially when Tails goes on rants and explains things, and Sonic's just like, can you slow down there, buddy? Kind of getting lost with all the terms and stuff. Also, just a bunch of powers is really cool. I like superpowers. So I read a lot of superhero stuff. And at the end of each volume, they have a bunch of different, like, artwork from different artists and stuff, which is fun to look at. I I love comics for their fun to look at, fun to enjoy how they draw. It's one of those I'll eat the artwork. You will not see it again. I also love the expressions that Sonic pulls all throughout the comics. Like, everyone has their moments, but Sonic, all throughout these 3 volumes, his facial expressions are on point. He's so dramatic about everything, and I love it. It's really funny because it annoys everyone, especially Metal, because Metal thinks he's the better, like the real one, the better one. I also kind of don't like Starlight, but at the same time think I think he's interesting, especially with his weird stone that lets him teleport. That's cool, but it's not new because Shadow does it, so not out there, but another way for characters to travel and get places fast, like Shadow. I think the characterization though is on point. I think it works well with the tone they took because they're trying to balance out something serious and silly at the same time. So they're going to have the characters quip, and then they're going to have the characters that take on serious matters. And honestly, I think it works. The pacing is fast, but it's Sonic, so I give the comics leeway in that, right? Because Sonic is fast. He's going to be fast. So the pacing of the comics is going to be fast because he's our protagonist. But overall, I think it's a great introduction into the tone and stuff of what we're gonna see in what I'm gonna see in future volumes as I read them. And the kinds of the main characters that will constantly reappear throughout the volumes, new and old alike, and how they're characterized. I like it. It's laying groundwork, this arc, I believe. Very much laying groundwork for future arcs in the series. And that's okay. Especially since I know it's gonna get crazy after this arc. Because I'm going into one of the most popular arcs of the IDW comics, which is the Metal Virus arc, which is a zombie apocalypse type thing for the Sonic universe. So I'm excited to see what that's like, how they'll handle that, and how every character is going to handle it. Honestly, because you don't you don't really see or think about a zombie arc for Sonic, but they're gonna do it anyway. And I mean, it's pretty common for Western media, I guess, to do a zombie arc for each of them, in my opinion. Because I've watched a lot of cartoons and a lot of shows and stuff, and they always do that, like, one off episode where they have the characters infected one way or another in some way and act zombie ish, and then they solve the issue. But it's zombie apocalypse is a big thing, so I'm not surprised that it appears in the Sonic comics. Overall, I like our beginning arc. It ties up it ties up Sonic Forces really well. It and then further introduces us to the world, this iteration of the Sonic world that we're gonna be in. I think that's all I have to say. So, bye.